It's asking both in a general training sense and a specific sense for powerlifting. What are your thoughts with regards to the inclusion of paused bench work with powerlifting? When to, when not to? So, if you consider in general sense, sport specific work is always work that we do. The closer we get to our competition or a specific peak, we always include more specific work, and powerlifting is no different. And it's a good way to think about your powerlifting training. And I think a lot of powerlifters make that mistake. They forget that powerlifting is a sport. Maybe it's not a very athletic sport. I don't know who said that. But, hey, I'm only joking. But don't forget that powerlifting is a sport. You peak for a specific event, and we know all sports, sport specific work makes us better at our sport specific stuff because their skills are very specific. And the closer, when block periodization, any forms of periodization, as we get closer to events, we always include more sport-specific work, and we are less general at the start, and we get more specific towards the end. Or sorry, we're more general at the start, and we get more specific towards the end of our peak. And so as we get closer towards our peak for competition, we include more stuff. So you could take that in the sense that at the start of our powerlifting block, we're doing our kind of GPP phase, we're doing our high volume. You don't really need to be doing that paused work. You definitely need to be doing more of it as you get closer. You'll see from any of our powerlifting programs, there is like competition bench, or there might be normal bench or close grip bench, depending on what blocks you're running. And that is, the pause bench is in there when you need to do pause bench to peak for your competition bench. So you definitely need to practice it. When to is closer to the peak or closer to your weight or your powerlifting competition. When not to, technically, so powerlifting then in that sense is a little bit strange in that practicing your sport specific work isn't actually a problem at the start. In relation to like your sport specific work for throwing. So let's say we take throwing, right? It'd be very detrimental for our throwing if we went from doing 1 rep per set in the pitch to going to sets of 12. Like that would be terrible for your throwing. You'd be highly fatigued. You'd be altering your sport specific activity under fatigue, so you change your motor patterns. You wouldn't be training the right muscle fibers, and that'd be a very, very poor thought process to go about, a very, very poor program to do when you are going for your throwing, for your peaking. But in powerlifting, one of the natures we change from general training, bottom of our triangle, start of our training block, is literally just the number of repetitions as much as the exercise selection. So you'll see the variance in our exercise selection for powerlifting. The kind of how far left and right we go from our sport specific work is very, very shallow. It's very, very small compared to other sports. For example, if we compare it to maybe weightlifting, or if we compared it to, for example, again, throwing, so our sport specific event is way over here. It's a kind of high velocity action, very lightweight, way over in the corner. And then the other side, we've stuff like heavy barbell squats, like totally different movements. So the kind of nuance with powerlifting is that the change really is in repetitions and sets and kind of the intensity and weight you're using. So it's never really a bad time to use pause bench work, but there's kind of better times. It'd be better for you, for example, at the start of a training block to be able to do a lot of faster reps in a shorter period of time. If you're doing not paused work, you can do more weight. So you could probably get a little bit more training load in particular sets and sessions at the start of your training program with non-paused work. It gives you a little bit of a psychological break, gives you maybe a little bit more repetitions per set. So if you do, maybe you get a little bit more hypertrophy from that. And then as you get closer to your training event, you bring in those pause work a little bit more.